Rahubat, Rahubat. Welcome to the Horus Hour, storytelling show that tells stories for entertainment purposes only, even if they true. It got to throw that in every time. It has have to. If you don't, I tell you, YouTube will give you no views. All right? So you have to say for entertainment purposes only, even if it's true. Now, I want to talk about the grand master teacher, the one and only master teacher who's come from the planet Risk. Okay? Pa Ba Yanun or Dr. Malachi Z.K. York or Tra or Tahiti. Okay? This is the man. Okay? 76 trillion years of knowledge and education. Knowledge, information, 76 trillion years. The only one on the planet with that much knowledge, okay, with that much information, okay. Teaching Wusabat. He has a book called The Nuwaupian Man, The Sapien Man. And this book teaches us integrity, okay, and to have that integrity at all times, like don't go behind closed doors and have a fake website called the Village of Life where it don't give you an order number or a tracking number to track your package. That's all it do is take your money, have you waiting for something, thinking you're gonna get some healing. Instead, you get some killing. So Hayat Mitwal, stop killing. Do more healing and less killing. So that goes against all of the teachings of Dr. Malachi Z.K. York. This dude got a fake website, okay? The Village of Life, talking about how much healing he gonna do for you, okay? And you call, you place an order, and whoop, that money's gonna come out your account, okay? And then you try to get in touch with him. He starts blocking you off all the pages, asking him, hey, where's my package? And he never answers the question, okay? This was about 3 months ago. September the 5th is when I placed my order, okay? Haven't received a refund yet, okay? As a matter of fact, I showed him my receipt, okay? And this dude said he didn't get payment, okay? And I sent him, did a snapshot of my credit card receipt and sent it to him. I got him busted in a lie, just straight busted. So anyway, the master teacher teaches against that. So you got one person in the Nuwaupian nation doing, being a fake, phony liar, fake healer, then people would think that all the Nuwaupians are bad. They'll think, they won't have trust in any Nuwaupian business. Okay? Had me spooked. I seen some stuff, some books I wanted to order. And I'm like, man, I don't even want to send my credit card information no more. I don't even want to order nothing anymore. It was like, I don't even, because you won't know if you won't know if you're getting ripped off until after you send the money. Okay? Because as soon as I sent that money, it came out of my account. And I was like, whoa, I didn't get an order number or a tracking number. It was crazy. Okay? Because I just ordered a painting from this beautiful artist. It's named Tara. So it's Artworks by Tara. And I placed the order with her. She sent me a order number, a tracking number. Okay. And as a matter of fact, even called me, okay, to make sure that I got my package. Okay. Then sent me a thank you card and all kind of stuff. Okay. That's doing good business. All right. So anyway, so I'm gonna tell a story about how one, group of people did something horrible, and then it made another person hate the entire race of people. Okay. So anyway, what happened was this was my ex-wife. Okay. So, when we first met, she used to have me park way down the street. I couldn't even park on the same block. I had to park like 2 blocks away. And then I would actually walk past her house to the grocery store because there was a payphone there. And then I would call her and tell her I was outside. And she would come and meet me at the grocery store. Okay. So anyway, it was she was staying with her grandfather. Like I said, I was parking 2 blocks away. And one time I got tired of parking so far away. I had this brand new truck. I'm like, shoot, I got this brand new truck, looking all nice. And we were supposed to go out on a date. I said, man, I am not going to park my brand new truck all the way down the street. So I went and I parked in front of the house. And when I walked up to the porch, I could hear her arguing. And she was talking in Spanish. And, her grandfather was talking in Spanish. They're going back and forth and they're yelling at each other. And then she starts yelling. She said it in English. I love him and I'm going to marry him. And then he said he's going to kill Chocolate. And I was standing right at the door, and then I heard that little sound when you pump a shotgun. And I turned around and I started running. I'm gone. I'm smoking. I left my car parked in the front too with the keys in it. Okay, because he opened the door, he got a straight shot at me. So I went across so he couldn't shoot me, and I just ran down the street, kept on going. Left my car parked in front, my brand new truck parked in front with the keys in it and everything. So I call her and I'm like, hey, what does kill chocolate mean? And she goes, oh, he ain't gonna do nothing. That shotgun is old. He ain't gonna do nothing. I said, hey. Nah, you can't be saying that. Oh, what you mean he not gonna do nothing? He pumped the shotgun. What do you mean he's not gonna do nothing? So anyway, she told me, she couldn't drive. I told her, can you drive my car to me? I'm you know where I'm at, 2 blocks away. Can you get in my truck and drive it to me? And she said she didn't know how to drive a stick shift. So she told me to wait there, talking about her kitty cat was wet. And talking about just wait till he fall asleep. So I'm like, what? So I waited till he fell asleep. Okay, I waited till he fell asleep. And then I went and she was on the second story. Okay. And, I climbed up there and I climbed through the window. I waited till 2 o'clock in the morning before I climbed in the window. Okay. So then after that, I didn't see nobody in her family. Okay. Nobody. Okay. Until we moved in together. So like maybe a year after that, we moved in together. Okay. And the first day we moved in together, I'm walking up the stairs because I was at work and I told her to go and find an apartment and all that kind of stuff. So she went and she did that. So when I got off work, I'm walking up the stairs and I hear her laughing and talking, and she's talking to somebody in Spanish again. Okay. They're just laughing and talking. And when I get up the stairs, this dude jumps up and he goes, what you doing here? He was like looking like he was mad, like he was about to kick my butt mad. And I was like, whoa, I thought I was in the wrong apartment at first. And I was like, whoa. I was like, hey, I live here. And he start talking to her in Spanish, right? And so she was holding the baby, and the baby's like 8 months at the time. So the baby just gets away from her and the baby just crawls over to me. And, I pick the baby up and I'm holding the baby. And he walks over to me and he says, who baby is this? I said, this is my baby. He said, I'm looking at you and I'm looking at the baby. I'm going to ask you one more time. Who baby is this? I said, man, this is my baby. He said, did she tell you that this was your baby? I said, listen here. I said, I know he's not my son biologically, but I'm raising him. And since I'm going to raise him, I'm raising him like he's my son. And I'm just going to treat him like he's my son. So he said, he started nodding his head. And then he tells his sister to go put the baby to bed. And she walks over to get the baby. And the baby pulls away. And, and he goes, why baby won't go to his mama? I'm like, I don't know. And then so he goes, why baby don't go to his own mama? This Latino baby boy, they always go to the mama. And the baby, she tried to get the baby again. The baby starts crying. And he said, who was you? Who are you? Like that. So he goes, I tell him my name and everything. He goes, no, 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 no. Horus. Horus. You Horus. Like that. I was like, what? And then he's just shaking his head. And he goes, welcome to my family, brother-in-law. And then he hugs me. And then he goes, my mama and papa, they no understand. You will never see my mama and papa. The only time you will ever see my mama and papa is if there's a funeral in the family. He said, but you'll be standing so far back, they won't even know you're there. I said, oh, I understand. So when I'm saying I understand, I'm thinking that his mother and father is thinking that I'm the one who got his sister pregnant. Okay, that's why I'm thinking they didn't like me. I had no idea it had to do with the color of my skin. Okay, so anyway, the reason why her family hated black people so much is because they were from Nicaragua, and her grandfather came over here when her mother was real little, and he was only in America for one day. He just happened to be in the wrong city. He was in the city of Compton, California. Okay. He was looking for a place to stay with his family. All the money he had only been in the United States for one day. Okay. So he's trying to find a place for his family to stay. And three black dudes jumped him. Okay. Took his money and beat him within an inch of his life. Okay. So that's the reason she had me parked so far down the street. Okay. Because that's whose house I was going over. Okay. So that dude said to his family, they better not ever bring a black person over to that family. Okay. So yeah, they did not like black people. So anyway, years go by. Okay. Years go by. Baby's like 3 now. Okay. And me and his sister get into it. Okay. And we break up. As a matter of fact, her sister, his sister was out messing around. She came in the house. What happened was she came home trying to be slick. Okay. She told me she wasn't feeling good. So I was working for the ambulance company at that time. So I'm like, okay, we work 24-hour shifts. So I said, okay. I called to clear it with dispatch to see if I can stop by the house and check on my wife. They cleared me to go by there. I go by there, ain't nobody there. And it's midnight. I'm like, oh man, this is crazy. Okay. So I said, I wonder what time she's going to get home. So we parked the ambulance in the back, okay, to see what time she's going to pull up to the house. Okay. We were parked back there from 2:00 in the morning. Okay. And she comes rolling up and it was about 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay. So I asked her where she was. She was like, "Oh, I was bowling." She tell me she went bowling at this place where I used to bowl at because I was on the bowling league. And I was like, "Yeah." And she's trying to tell me that they stayed open 24 hours. I'm like, "I used to bowl at that place. They don't stay open that long. Okay. I know what time they close. They close at midnight." So anyway, I got mad and I got mad. I went to her friend's house because she thought that I wasn't going to go there. So I like, "Come on, come with me." "Who'd you go bowling with?" She was like, "I'm bowling with Yolanda. Come on, let's go to Yolanda house." She thought I wasn't going to go to Yolanda house because Yolanda lived with her mother. Knocked on the door. Yolanda comes out. Yolanda got this green mask on her face and got rollers in her hair. Meanwhile, my girl got on a mini skirt so short you don't even have to she don't have to lift it up and you can see her panties. Okay? That's how short the mini skirt was. So anyway, I said, "Hey, Ella said you guys was out bowling." She said, "Ella?" So I go, "Yeah." And this is supposed to be her best friend. They like supposed to be real tight. She goes, "I ain't seen Ella in 3 months." I'm like, 3 months? 3 months? How is that possible? She says she's been coming over here to see you for the past 3 months, every weekend. She said she was coming out to go see this girl, Yolanda, and she had been doing that every weekend for 3 months. I was so mad, okay, because she said, I told her it was over with, right? I said, "Okay, then fine." I said, "It's over with." And I said, "You know what?" I said, "I tell you what, it's over with. I'm still going to pay you child support and I'm going to see the baby every other weekend on my off days," like that. And she goes, "You ain't going to never see him again," like that. And then I slapped her. Okay. Pow. I got mad. I slapped her hard. Okay. And after I slapped her, my partner came and grabbed me and was like, "Hey, man, come on. We got to go, man, before the police come." And I was real mad. Of course, my feelings was hurt and everything. And so me and my partner leave. So about 2 days later, I get a call from Yolanda's mother. And she goes, "I know what Ella did to you." And she goes, "I know the baby's not yours, but the baby's been here crying for the past 2 days." She goes, "Please, honey, can you just come and see if you can get the baby to stop crying?" I said, "Oh, honey," I said, "just put him on the telephone and he'll stop crying. He's just used to me coming home at 8:15 all the time. Okay. If I don't get home at 8:15, he starts crying." Yeah, he gets on the phone and I tell him, "Dad'll be there to see you tomorrow." Okay. So don't cry. I'll be over there tomorrow. So he just said, "Okay, Daddy." He's only 3 years old. He just go, "Okay, Daddy." Stops crying. So I get to the house the next day. I go to see Yolanda's mother, and she's staying over there because she ain't staying with me no more. Wherever you spent the night, go there. You can stay there. Okay, and that's the way I felt about it. So anyway, Yolanda's mother is standing in the corner, standing by in the doorway, shaking and smoking a cigarette, and said, "Baby, I had to go break open." She goes, "I haven't smoked cigarettes in 2 years." She goes, "I had an emergency pack in my bedroom." She said, "I had to go break it open." She goes, "The baby just been crying for 2 days straight and it was making me nervous." And then my ex gonna say, "He slapped me." And then she said, "I don't believe a man should ever put his hands on a woman, but I know exactly what you did. You're not slick and you're not fooling anybody." He said, "This dude should have did more than slapped you. Okay. In this case, he should have kicked your ass like that. So yeah, she was like, don't even try to say nothing bad about this man. It's like that. So, and she said, as a matter of fact, you got a week to, she said, the baby can stay, but you got a week, okay? And you got to go, okay? Because what you did disgusts me. I don't want you around me, okay? So she went to go stay with her mom. And apparently, she called her brother, okay? Because her brother came knocking on my door. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, and this was maybe, a week had went by. Yeah, about a week went by. So, and her brother is knocking on my door. I'm like, hey, what the heck is you doing over here? Because I thought he was in Florida. Okay. And her brother was his drug dealer. He was like a big time drug dealer. So his mother called him. He flew to LA and came to see me. And so he called me. I'm like, hey man, where you at? He said, I'm standing at the front door. I'm on my telephone. They don't even have cell phones then, okay? This was like when AT&T had announced they had 100 phones that was coming out, okay? Only 100 phones in America. That's it. This was like some test things. And he was one of the 100 people that had the phone, okay? I saw his phone bill, $7,000 for a phone bill. And he said that was a small one. All right. Anyway, so he says, it's time for you to go meet my mama and papa. I said, did somebody die? Because you told me I ain't gonna never meet your mama and papa until I go to a funeral. And he starts laughing. And he starts laughing. I start crying. I said, oh God, I'm going to my own funeral. I'm going to my own doggone funeral. So I started crying, right? He said, what's the matter with you? I said, you told me I'm not going to meet your mama and papa unless I'm going to a funeral. Okay. Now I know I done slapped the crap out of your sister. I said, but man, we not together no more. So you ain't never got to worry about that happening again. He said, don't worry about that. It's like that. He said, don't worry about that. But anyway, he tells me to get dressed. Come on. So I'm like, oh man. So I went and I got this key, right? This dude gave me a key. I got the key and I was like, here's the key you gave me. You can have it back. He's like, I don't want that key. I gave that key to you. Go put that key up, man. Okay. He gave me a key to this warehouse that had they had money in it. Well, money and a little bit of drugs. Okay. He told me the drugs was just like the getaway drugs, and the money, he said one side of the money, he didn't know how much it was. He was still counting it. And then the other side of the wall, he said, all of that money, just come in and take whatever I want because that's his play money. And I'm like, with the wall lined up in this storage unit with all the money lined up, I'm like, I know that's got to be millions of dollars. It's got to be millions of dollars because that's a lot. And then he said, and I asked him about the counting machines, because I was like, what's that? He goes, you never seen those? It's a counting machine. And they have them at the bank. And then he took a wad of money and he put it in the counting machine and it starts flipping real fast, like da 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 da. You know how many kilos that is a day? I said, kilo? What's a kilo? He says, man, you paramedic and you don't know what a kilo is? I said, we don't use kilos. I said, we use grams and centimeters. He was like, just start shaking his head. And he said, don't worry about it. Just don't tell my sister where this place is. That's what he told me. Okay, so anyway, we on the way to his mom's house. And we get to his mom's house And when we get there, I see all these people walking into the house like in single file. They're walking behind each other and they're walking in the house and they're all wearing black. I started crying. I said, I thought you said we ain't going to a funeral. And then he goes, stop crying. They're coming from church. And I said, but it's Saturday. And he goes, my mama's 7-day Adventist. I'm like, I didn't even know what a 7-day Adventist was. I had never even heard of that before. I just said, okay. So anyway, we walk into the house and my son comes running, Daddy, Daddy. And he just jumps on me and he just starts kissing me and kissing me and kissing me all on my face. And then he starts licking me and he's licking me. I'm like, hey, what are you doing? And he goes, they say you chocolate, like that. And I said, man, I am not a candy bar. And then he bit me. I was like, I'm not a candy bar. I'm not a candy bar. And then he starts laughing and everything. And so his mom comes up to me and, she goes, you know who I am? I said, yeah. And she goes, who are you? She goes, who are you? And I said, I'm his. And she goes, no, 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 no. Who told you was his daddy? Did my daughter tell you that? I said, nah. And I said, nah. I said, I'm the one who's been taking care of him since he was born. Since he was born, I've been the one taking care of him. And I said, and she starts shaking her head. And she goes, well, I'm the grandmama. I'm the grandmama. And she goes, this baby sit in front of the door 5 days. He cried for 5 days straight. I take care of all of my grandkids, all 22, but this one is the only one cried for 5 days. The longest any of my babies cried, 2 hours. 2 hours when they with me. That's it. The most spoiled, and she was a baby girl. He's a baby boy. He cried for 5 days. I never see this before. Like that. Okay. She said, the only reason I called, my back was hurting so bad. He won't go to bed. I had to sit in the chair and hold him. Then I take a bottle and I put some oatmeal in the bottle and try to give it to him. I said, man, he don't drink bottles. And he starts laughing. And she goes, first time I see him laugh like that. I said, wow. I said, so what's the matter? She goes, baby, he gonna get sick. He no sleep. He no eat. I'm worried. I said, that's all you had to, I said, that's all you had to do was tell him I'll be here. I was coming. And I said, hey son, your grandma wants you to take a nap. And he says, huh? I said, yeah, your grandma wants you to take a nap. I said, but when you go take a nap and you wake up, I'll be standing right here. And he goes, okay, jumps down, grabs his mother's hand, walks to the first room and goes, night, night, everybody, and walks into the bedroom. His grandmother is in shock. She walks over to the bedroom door. Then she walks in the room and she walks back out the room and she goes, baby sleep. Soon as baby head hit the pillow, he sleep. Takes me and my girlfriend out to the stand. We're standing right by the kitchen. And she goes, what you say happened? And my girlfriend starts speaking in Spanish. And yeah, that is, she's just talking in Spanish, right? The only thing she said in English was, and then he hit me. And when she said that, I started crying because I'm like, dang, I'm in trouble now. Okay. And then her mother goes, she's nodding her head and goes, like that. It says, you understand what she say? I said, I know she said I slapped her. And she shakes her hand like this and said, what hand you slap her with? I stick out my right hand. She said, open hand, like this, huh? I said, yeah. And then she goes, well, I hope you slap her like this. Oh, and she slaps her so hard. I started screaming and I started running, okay? And I'm trying to run out the front door because I'm thinking she's mad because we was arguing and she thinks that we was fighting in front of the baby. So she's finna, beat me up or something. Okay. So I'm trying to get out of there. I'm trying to get out the front door. So I'm running through the living room, and before I can get to the door, Mr. Scarface grabbed me and was like, brother-in-law, what's wrong with you? What are you doing? I said, please don't let your mama hit me. I said, tell her I'm sorry, man. And he goes, my mama not mad at you. I go, what? She goes, my mama not mad at you. And then his mother walks over to me and says, please forgive me. A black man has never set foot in this house, okay? And she says, please forgive me, like that. And she starts crying. And she's like crying and crying. And I don't know why she's crying. So she says she's going to cook for me. And she cooks me all this food. She cooks some noodle. She's like, oh, she's going to make it from scratch. It was from the day before that they don't cook on Saturdays, but they have some noodle on Friday. And so she's going to fix up the noodle and all this stuff. Anyway, so yeah. So they had that much hatred just because of one incident of some black people. So they think every black person on the planet is evil. So that's why I'm saying Hayat Mitwal need to get his act together, okay? Because people gonna think every Nuwaupian is gonna rob him when they try to do business with him. That's what they'll think. You get burnt bad by somebody, you're gonna think, hey, you're gonna think the worst of everybody. You're gonna think the worst of everybody in that group. It's gonna make it hard for you to trust them. Okay? I'm like, I understand. I overstand. Okay, I overstand. I get it. Okay, it's happened to me where you have a very bad experience with a certain group of people, and it's like, dang, you think all the people are like that? Okay, listen. I've only met or seen. Well, okay, I've only met personally very few people from Nigeria. Okay, but every single one of them was a bad experience. Okay, a very bad experience. And I'm talking about the experience where it's about to get violent experience. Okay, so and I'll let you know they some chumps. They do a whole lot of talk. Okay, and that's all they do. All right, talk, full of talk. All right. I'll tell you what one of them did. I was about to, and I'm not a violent person in no means, okay? But this dude totally disrespected a black goddess, a old black woman, okay? So I'm talking about a black woman that was born in the 1900s. Her birthday was 1901, okay? And that was her birth date, 1901, okay? So this lady was pretty old. All right. I'm working on the ambulance at that time. And we called to let them know that we were coming. All right. We're taking a patient from the hospital. She's just getting out of the hospital with pneumonia. Okay. It's pouring down rain. We called the convalescent to make sure that we was going to be there. So we didn't want her to get wet. Okay. So we took all the precautions to make sure that, This patient stayed dry. We get outside, it's pouring down rain. I'm telling you, it's pouring down, right? We call the convalescent, tell them to come to the door so this way we can take her out the ambulance and run straight through the door, right? Run straight into the thing. We call, they say, okay, we at the door. I'm going to send somebody, we're going to send somebody, they're going to open the door. Okay, cool. Get off the mic off the CB with them. Get the patient. We're running through the door. This Nigerian chump standing at the door, see us two American blacks, and this dude stopped, and we're going, open the door, open the door. This rain is just pouring down on this lady, okay? Rain is just pouring down. We got all the stuff, but it's raining so hard. And we're like, open the door. And this dude turned around, locked the door, and walked away. And we're standing there. We are getting, me and my partner, we are getting drenched. We are drenched, okay? We got to turn around, run back to the ambulance, soaking wet. Now she's starting to get wet because it's raining so hard. The rain is just, the wind is blowing and it's all raining and stuff. And she's starting to get wet. Just got out the hospital with pneumonia. Call back in there. It was that dude and another nurse working, and we knew the nurse. I said, somebody, I don't know who that was, locked the door, but somebody better come open that door. And I don't know who that was that locked the door, but I'm finna have some words with him when we get in. So I told the nurse, you come open the door, okay? Don't send nobody else to open the door. You come open the door. She came and opened the door. And I said, who was that? And that's when she told me that was dude that was from Nigeria and told me how much he don't like American blacks. I said, so he don't like American blacks, so he's going to leave a patient out there? He's going to leave this lady was 90-some years old. I'm like, he going to leave a 90-year-old patient out there getting soaked in the rain? Are you serious? I said, yeah, well, where is he? Why he won't show his face now that we in here? So he go in there and lock himself in a room. Why won't you come out and face me? Go lock yourself in a room and hide, talk all that crap and run and hide. Okay, so yeah, that one. Okay. And guess what? Those same Nigerians will kiss a white person. They will be all up a white person's butt. They will kiss a white person's booty so quick. Oh my goodness. Oh man. Seen it happen. Seen it. Okay. Sucking up to this. I was like, dude, are you serious? Okay. And started treating me like crap. Okay. Getting an interview. I was applying for the Long Beach Fire Department. Okay. At the time, didn't even know that they didn't have any. I think they had one black person there. Yeah. This whole big old city, they had one black person working for their fire department. All right, anyway, they was hiring. This dude came out, he was kissing all the white applicants' butt. Kissing a butt, right? And then when it came to my turn, he went like this. He just turned around and started walking away. And I was like, dang, is that the dude I'm supposed to interview with? I had no idea. He didn't say nothing. He just turned around and started walking away. Okay, he was calling the people who's supposed to come up to get their interview, and then he called my name. I was like, oh, here I am. He didn't go, okay, come with me, like, and shake my hand and do all that stuff like he was doing all those other white boys. He just did like that, turned around and started walking away. Get in to go take the interview. Every question I answered, he said it was wrong. The captain, it was a 20-year vet captain next to me. He stood up and said, man, I don't understand what's going on here, but he's been correct 100% of the time. I'm a 20-year vet. He hasn't missed one answer. And you're going to say, no. And he goes, I'm reporting this. And he goes, I'm letting you know you got 100. He goes, I have to report this. That's how bad it was. Okay. Some Nigerian chump. Okay. That bad. Okay. Here I am interviewing for the fire department. Okay. He's saying every answer I'm giving was wrong, but the fire captain is saying I'm 100% correct because this dude, he don't work for the fire department. He's just a city employee. Okay, so when they get an interview, they have a city employee and they have somebody that a captain that works for the fire department when they do the interviews. But yeah, but the captain was like, no, I'm reporting this. I'm reporting it because how can the captain say I'm 100% correct and this dude goes, nope, that's wrong. But he don't work for the fire department. And I was already working for a fire department. Okay. So I'm already a firefighter. Okay. I was just trying to get hired with a bigger department. That was it. So anyway, yeah. So anyway, that's what happened with that. And yeah. So back to that story. That was the first people that started calling me Horus. That's what her mom said. Her mom was like, yeah, the baby is love you so much like that. She said, because you Horus, and told me to go ask my mama why she named me, why she gave me my name, all this stuff. And it was a trip because some of the stuff that she was saying, was true. And it tripped me out. Like she was saying babies would be, she's like, oh, babies will recognize you. Babies, have vibrate on a different level. Babies can see you, like that. And so she was saying that's why the baby, loves me so much and everything. And yeah, and then a few years later, some baby I'd never seen in my life at a Chuck E. Cheese come, and she was doing the same thing that my son was doing, hugging me on my neck. And when her mom came to get her, her mom was trying to get her, and she's like, "No!" I mean, she had the grip around my neck and wouldn't let go. Okay, the people had to come and break it up. They thought that the girl was my daughter, and it was her mom, causing the confusion. It was like, no, I'm like, no, it's her baby, and we got to show them the wristbands. Okay. I'm like, no, I got a green wristband. They got the blue wristbands, her daughter just won't go to her like that. So yeah, that tripped me out. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, later on I was like, oh, that's what she's talking about. Little babies, know who you are, see you. So yeah, that's the end of that story. Okay. So you know what else happened? I'll tell you what else happened. We end up getting married. Okay. After that, after all that crap. Okay. After all of that crap, after all of that, we still end up getting married. Okay. And of course, it didn't last that long. But yeah, we got married. And the same dude that put the shotgun on me, okay, he was at the wedding. Okay. So the same dude that put the shotgun on me was at the wedding, okay, sitting all the way up there in the front. It's like, wow. He didn't have a shotgun though. Okay. I'm glad he didn't have a shotgun. Okay. But he came and he had a smile on his face. So, oh, and another thing, you know what? She told them that they can't speak Spanish in front of me unless somebody's going to interpret what they say. No more of that, you know, speaking Spanish and then I don't know what nobody say. She said from now on, when they speak Spanish, somebody she said better too. That's what she said. Oh no, she told that to the office. Better, they better tell you what they saying like that. I was like cracking up laughing. So yeah, so that's what they be doing. Uh-huh. Yeah, you not looking, and they be talking. You be sitting right there. They start talking in Spanish because they think you don't know what they saying. Yeah, that's why I'm glad that Wusabat and Dr. Malachi Z.K. York teaches their own language. Nispatea, okay, Nuwaupu, whatever. It's their own language. So, and that's what I got to learn. Okay. So, till next time, Wadu. Peace. Wadu.